What's happening, people? Back with another reaction, back with some more Laura Branigan. And we're back with more from the Best of Branigan compilation. Once again, shout out to Scott. And the next tune is How Am I Supposed to Live Without You? Now, I should point out there's been a few tunes already on this compilation that are covers, so I don't know if this is another cover. It's not a track title I recognize, so do let me know if this ends up being a cover or if this is a Laura original. Either way, the title sounds heartbroken. It sounds like someone who can't even see a path forward because of the end of a relationship and the loss of the presence of another person in their life. They're at the bottom of some emotional chasm. Fair to say, you know, that could be the essence of the sentiment, though it could be more than just that snapshot indicated by the title, meaning someone could be heartbroken and could feel like they really don't understand how to keep living, and yet they find themselves doing that, and in the process, you know, there's a hint that they're coming to terms with it or they're healing, or maybe there'll be lines about a possible reconciliation. Now, admittedly, the phrasing, it really does sound final and over, but let's find out what it actually is. This is Laura Branigan, How Am I Supposed to Live Without You, included on the Best of Branigan Greatest Hits compilation.
Straight from you. They said you were leaving, someone swept your heart away. From the look upon your face, I see it's true. So tell me all about it, tell me about the plans you're making. Then tell me one thing more before I go.
I heard this. I heard this.
Now that I've been loving you so long,
I didn't recognize it until that line. I heard this.
How am I supposed to live without you? And how am I supposed to carry on when all that I've been living for is gone? Didn't come here for crying, didn't come here to break down. It's just a dream of mine is coming to an end. How can I blame you when I built my world around the hope that one day we'd be so much more than friends? And I don't want to know the price I'm gonna pay for dreaming. I need you now, it's more than I can take.
Might be more complicated than I
Tell
thought.
me, how am I supposed to live without you? Now that I've been loving you so long, how am I supposed to live without you? And how am I supposed to carry on when all that I've been living for is
That like epic ballad guitar.
I don't wanna know the price I'm gonna pay for dreaming. Now that your dream has come true, tell me, how am I supposed to live
guess that's an 80s one. So, like the keys and that guitar solo too, that like just give me a like late 80s sort of vibe. But like I said, I've heard that if it is a cover, which again, I don't know that to be the case. I've just realized after people have commented that there's been a few already that were. But maybe if it's a cover, I've heard a different version or something. But if there is only this version, then I've definitely heard that at some point, if only in part. Because again, the opening and the first verse didn't really cue it. But then when it got to where she starts, singing those questions, it was like, oh wait, like this is very familiar. I've definitely heard this. So, yeah, another one somewhere buried in my personal history. But a cool tune, and ultimately it does sound like it's final, but ultimately that she went over to see him before he left to go on to whatever plans. And I like, it's like painful. It's like, oh, tell me all the plans you're making. It's like, oh, you don't want to hear that. Like, it sounds like he's already out the door. So he's, in real life, as I've gone through it, I feel like in many cases, like, how am I supposed to live without you? I feel they'd be like, well, sorry, but like I don't have the answer to that question. Like, you're gonna have to find that answer. So yeah, it sounds like someone who really is in a tough spot, but they're just trying to understand or come to terms with what is happening. But why I was saying during the song it sounded more complicated is it sounds like maybe they were in a relationship, and it's just that one or two lines that seem to suggest otherwise. But yeah, there were one or two lines where it seemed like she was saying like, I've been dreaming about being more than friends with you, but perhaps suggesting like, she hadn't made her move. She hadn't actually indicated her feelings and her desire for that. And so they maybe were just friends, but she had been like seeing it in her mind's eye as something more. And then while that was still in, a planning phase, or she, was too hesitant to come forward with her intent, he ended up, like, oh, I met someone and I'm going to move there and I'm going to go off with her and do these things. And it's, inside she's like dying, but she never really told him. So now she has to like, how am I supposed to go on without you? So I feel like it, it sort of works either way, but I was unsure as it played out whether it was a former lover and partner and that's why she's so heartbroken, or whether it's someone who she just had this dream of being with but it never actually came to fruition, which I guess in another sense you could ask whether that's even more painful, because she, at least if she had dated this person, it'd be like, okay, well, eventually it fell apart, and a lot of relationships do. So even though it's really hard to accept now, maybe you could see them getting over it more easily. But if it's this thing that never happened, it's the person they never got to date that they really wanted to, you could see maybe how that might linger more psychologically. So yeah, I'm curious to hear if there's a definitive answer to that question, and also whether this is a cover or not. So yeah, I enjoyed her vocal performance. Again, it feels like she can go big and powerful so easily. In this one, it wasn't like the whole song. There were just a couple moments where she really pushes it, but I do like the ability of her to ramp things up, very quickly vocally. So once again, another cool tune. Moving into the latter half of the album now, and the next one's called Over You. That feels like a really funny sequence, like how am I supposed to live without you, and the next track is Over You. So yeah, kudos to whoever arranged the track list for this greatest hits compilation. Once again, shout out to Scott for sharing this, and more Branigan as well, which we will get to all in good time. Let me know what you think. I will see you next time. Peace.